Hey loggers, I want to thank you for your support so far. Together we can build a wonderful community and expand this creepy universe even further. Help me reach 500 subscribers. Something very big is coming. Now without further ado, when we reach 500, the next door opens. What waits beyond is something I can't face alone. Join the logs. Stay aware. Stay afraid. Let's dive into today's story. I moved into the house because it was cheap. Too cheap. Everyone I told gave me the same look, the one that said, "Don't ask questions, just run." But I couldn't run. Not with the kind of money I had. And when I first stepped inside, it didn't seem that bad. The air smelled faintly of mildew. The wallpaper peeled at the edges. But the bones of the place felt strong, solid, safe. It was only the second night when I noticed the door. Not the front door. Not the back one. This one was inside, at the very end of the upstairs hallway, half hidden behind an old coat rack I'd shoved out of the way. It didn't match the rest of the house. It was narrow, much narrower than any normal doorway. And the wood was darker, older. The knob was iron, cool even in the warmth of the house. The strange thing was, it didn't appear on the blueprint the landlord had shown me. I pulled the paper out, checked twice, 3 times. The hallway ended in a blank wall, but in reality, the door was there. Of course I tried to open it. It didn't budge. I pushed, pulled, even leaned my whole weight against it. The knob turned, but the frame didn't give. Finally, I gave up, telling myself it was just some kind of boarded-up closet, maybe too warped with age to open anymore. I went to bed. That night, I woke up to the sound of it opening. The hinges moaned softly, wood against wood, the unmistakable sigh of a door easing wide. My eyes flew open in the dark. The sound came from the hallway, from that end. I held my breath, listening, but after a few seconds the silence returned. Too much silence. I eventually convinced myself I'd dreamed it. The next morning the door was shut tight again. On the 4th night I woke up at exactly 3:03 a.m. Something had woken me, though I didn't know what. My room was ice cold, though I hadn't touched the thermostat. And then I heard it, a slow, deliberate creak of a floorboard, coming from the hallway outside my door. I sat up, heart pounding. My door was cracked open just an inch. I never leave it open. I stared at that gap for what felt like hours, waiting to see movement, a shadow, anything. Finally, I got up the nerve to cross the room and shove the door closed, locking it this time. But just as I touched the knob, I heard it. The sound of the narrow door at the end of the hall groaning shut. I pressed my ear to my own door. Silence again. In the morning there were footprints, bare, wet prints leading from the end of the hall straight to my bedroom door. They stopped there, vanished completely. The carpet around them was bone dry. I thought about leaving. I really did. But the rent was so low, and I told myself there had to be a rational explanation. Old plumbing, rotting wood, my imagination. Until the 7th night. I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, every muscle tense. And then, faintly at first, I heard it. Knocking. Not on my bedroom door, on the narrow one. 3 knocks. A pause. 2 more. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. It repeated. 3 knocks. A pause. 2 more. Louder this time. I couldn't stop myself. I opened my mouth and whispered, "Who's there?" The knocking stopped. For a moment, relief washed over me. But then came the whisper. Not from down the hall, from right behind my bedroom door. My own voice rasping, waterlogged. "Let me in." I stumbled back, tripping over the corner of my bed. My phone buzzed on the nightstand screen, lighting up, though I hadn't touched it. One notification, a new photo saved. Hands shaking, I picked it up and opened the gallery. It was a picture of me, asleep in my bed, taken from the corner of the room. I dropped the phone. The lock on my door clicked open by itself. The hinges groaned, and the door began to swing wide. The door swung inward with agonizing slowness, each creak of the hinges scraping at my nerves. My breath froze in my chest. The crack widened inch by inch until the dark hallway beyond bled into my room. I expected something to step through, a hand, a face, anything, but there was nothing. Just empty blackness, the kind of black that swallowed the glow of my phone screen, the kind that didn't belong in a house with walls and ceilings. I wanted to move, to slam the door shut, but my body wouldn't obey me. It was like every muscle had been pinned to the mattress, paralyzed under invisible weight. All I could do was stare. My heart hammered so violently I thought it might burst. Then I heard it. Breathing. Slow, wet, rattling, dragging itself in and out like lungs filled with water. It came from the hallway, from just beyond the threshold of my room. The darkness shifted, thickened, and I realized I was looking at something standing there. Not a shape my eyes could make sense of. Not entirely. A smear of shadow taller than the doorway, its edges trembling like smoke but heavier, more solid. The whisper came again. My voice. My exact voice. "You left the door unlocked." I tried to scream, but only a choking gasp left my throat. I clawed at my sheets, trying to pull myself backward, but my limbs felt soaked, heavy, like I'd been submerged in cold water. The air around me stank of iron and mildew. The thing leaned forward. For the first time I saw details. Its head bent low, my own face peering at me from the dark, skin bloated and gray, lips split and peeling. Water streamed from its hair, dripping onto the floorboards with soft taps that grew louder and louder until the sound filled the room. It smiled. My smile, but wrong, stretched too wide, teeth broken and blackened. "I've been waiting." The lock on the narrow door at the end of the hall clicked. Even from my bed I could hear it. The sound reverberated like a gunshot in the silence. My double's head snapped toward the hallway, neck jerking unnaturally. Then it looked back at me. Its grin widened until its cheeks tore. "You shouldn't have answered." The thing rushed me, not running, just appearing. One moment it was in the doorway, the next it was inches from my face, dripping water onto my chest, its breath sour and cold against my skin. I thrashed, finally finding strength to fling myself sideways off the bed. My shoulder hit the floor with a crack of pain, But I didn't stop. I scrambled toward the far wall, dragging myself up by the dresser, fumbling for anything I could use as a weapon. The shadow thing didn't move at first. It just stood by my bed, watching. Its form flickered in and out of focus, like my eyes couldn't decide if it was really there or just an imprint burned into my brain. Then it tilted its head. Water poured from its mouth as it whispered again, "Come back." The dresser drawer jammed under my shaking hands, refusing to open. I yanked, pulled, finally tore it free. The contents spilled out. Clothes, tangled wires, a book, useless. I grabbed the lamp instead and hurled it at the thing. The bulb shattered, glass spraying across the floor. Sparks lit the room in a violent flash, and the thing vanished. The room fell silent. My bed was soaked as if someone had poured buckets of water over it, the sheets clinging wet to the mattress. The air hung heavy, suffocating. I staggered to my feet, chest heaving. For a moment, I thought it was over. Then I saw the footprints. Wet, bare prints leading from the door to my bed, then across the floor, circling the room, ending right where I stood. I looked down. Another footprint appeared, fresh and dripping, directly beside my shoe. I bolted. I didn't stop to grab my phone, my bag, nothing. I tore out of the room, down the hall, past the narrow door that stood wide open now, yawning into a black void that breathed cold air into the house. I didn't look inside. I couldn't. I just ran. The staircase stretched wrong beneath me, each step longer than it should have been, but I forced my legs down them, stumbling, nearly falling. Behind me, the house groaned like it was alive. Every board warped and bent under invisible pressure. The walls seemed to close in, the wallpaper bleeding dark stains. At the bottom, I lunged for the front door. My fingers clawed at the locks, slick with sweat, fumbling. The knob twisted under my palm, and then a hand touched my shoulder, not grabbing, not violent, just resting there, firm, cold, impossibly cold. My whole body locked. Slowly, against every instinct, I turned my head. It was me again, standing inches behind me, soaked and gray, eyes open wide and unblinking. Its lips barely moved as it whispered, "It's already too late." The door swung open by itself. Outside was not my street, not the night sky, not the storm I'd expected. It was water, endless black water stretching out forever, rippling as though something enormous had just passed beneath. The thing shoved me forward, and I fell. The water swallowed me whole. I tried to kick, to thrash, but the weight dragged me down. My lungs burned, my throat filled, but the deeper I sank, the clearer everything became. Shapes surrounded me, dozens, hundreds, all of them me. Faces bloated, broken, rotting, some smiling, some screaming, all staring with wide black eyes. They reached for me with limp hands, pulling me deeper, welcoming me. Somewhere far above, I saw the surface ripple. A figure climbed out, dragging itself into my house, dripping, smiling with my face. My chest convulsed. Darkness closed in. The last thing I heard was my own voice whispered 1,000 times in unison. "You're home." I don't know how long I was under. Time doesn't work the same way in that black water. It could have been seconds. It could have been centuries. I opened my mouth to scream and the water filled me thick, bitter, metallic. I felt it run into my lungs, into my stomach, into my veins. It should have killed me, but instead it changed me. My body grew heavier, but my mind didn't fade. My eyes opened wider in the dark, and I saw everything. They were all around me, the others, versions of me in every state of ruin. One with a face split clean down the middle, jaws opening like doors. One bloated with mildew and moss growing from its sockets. One with bones jutting through its skin. Ribs snapped open like broken wings. They floated in silence, but their mouths worked, whispering without sound. All of them stared at me, waiting. My chest should have been screaming for air, but there was no more need to breathe. The water had replaced the air inside me. It carried me deeper, pulling me through currents I couldn't fight. The weight of it pressed against me from all sides, yet I didn't crush. It was almost like the water wanted me whole. In the distance I saw light, not sunlight, something duller, green and sickly, glowing from deep below. The swarm of versions began to drift toward it, hands outstretched. Some dragged themselves by clawing through the water. Others just let themselves sink. I tried not to follow, but the pull grew stronger with every second until my body obeyed. The light came from a door, the same narrow door I had seen upstairs, standing upright at the bottom of the lake. Its frame was covered in barnacles and rust, its iron knob gleaming faintly through the silt. The versions of me pressed their hands against it, dozens, hundreds of palms smearing the surface. But none of them turned it. They only waited. I realized they weren't waiting for the door to open. They were waiting for me. My body drifted closer. My fingers reached out on their own. The knob was ice cold under my skin, colder even than the water. It pulsed once, like a heartbeat. The swarm leaned closer, all those ruined faces tightening around me. For a moment I thought I saw relief in their eyes. Then I turned it. The door swung open and the water poured through, dragging me with it. I expected to emerge into air, but instead I tumbled into another room, still submerged, though the walls here weren't made of waterlogged wood or plaster. They were flesh, veined, pale, pulsing like something alive. My body spun in the current until I crashed against the floor, soft and spongy, soaked through with blood. And when I looked up, I saw it. Not another version of me. Not a reflection. Something older. Something that had been waiting long before I was born. Its body filled the chamber, too massive to comprehend, its form shifting and folding in ways that made no sense. Eyes opened and closed along its surface. Some were mine, others not. All of them stared. A mouth formed where there hadn't been one. Lips, gray and peeling, curled into a grin. And when it spoke, the sound wasn't heard in my ears, but inside my skull, rattling in the hollow of my bones. You opened the door. I tried to back away, but the floor sucked at me, gripping my legs like quicksand. The thing leaned closer, and the water around us vibrated as it whispered again. You are the last one. All others were reflections, fragments, shadows. You are the key. You are mine. The swarm of ruined selves drifted in behind me, surrounding me in a wall of twisted faces, their mouths stretched wide in silent screams. Some tried to grab me, but their fingers passed through my skin like smoke. I realized then they weren't touching me because they couldn't. They weren't solid anymore. They had given themselves fully to it. And that was what it wanted from me. The floor surged upward, wrapping around my body, holding me in place. My arms were pinned, my chest constricted, though somehow I could still breathe water that wasn't air. The creature's massive form unfolded in front of me, and from within it stepped another figure. My face again, but not bloated, not broken, perfect, healthy. Its eyes were clear, its skin smooth. It smiled kindly, almost gently, and for a moment I thought I was looking at who I used to be. It spoke in my voice. You've been given a gift. You can rest. You can stop running. But as it stepped closer, I saw the flaw. Its shadow didn't follow its body. It bent in the wrong direction, writhing like a thing alive on its own. I shook my head. My mouth moved underwater and bubbles streamed out, but the words were clear. You're not me. The perfect one frowned, and its voice deepened, cracking like ice. You will be. The swarm rushed forward all at once, their mouths stretching, their eyes snapping open wide. The water filled with a roar of whispers, my voice repeated 1,000 times. They pressed against me, through me, trying to wear me down, trying to hollow me out so I would join them. Every thought, every memory, every moment of my life flooded through me at once, reflected in their dead eyes. And then I felt it, something inside me giving way, like a door inside my mind unlocking. The water rushed in deeper, filling every space. The perfect version stepped closer, laying its hand on my chest, and for a moment I couldn't tell where I ended and it began. Above me, somewhere impossibly far away, I saw the surface. My house, my room, my bed. A figure sitting there, dry and whole, smiling with my face. I tried to scream, but the sound only joined the chorus. You're home now. The voices whispered. Forever. And as the last of myself drowned in the black, I understood the truth. The house wasn't cursed. The door wasn't haunted. They were bait. Traps laid to catch me, to lead me here, to bring me back to where I had always belonged. I was never the first. I wouldn't be the last. And when the next tenant moves in, the door will still be waiting.